He gave reporters short shrift, but took a few questions from local children. One of his answers was quite a head-scratcher. Here's a bit.
Any of you guys want to ask me any questions? Because the key to success is whenever you disagree with someone, it's okay to question their judgment, whether they're right or wrong. But it's never okay to question their motive. There was a guy named Jesse Helms, and he was a very conservative guy who was not very crazy about African Americans when he got here. We always had fights. The idea that I disagreed with everything he said, but when he suggested he was doing it, he didn't care about people with disabilities, it was wrong. Question his motive. That's a long answer to a real quick question.
I mean, people were looking at the floor while he was talking. Reporters have been fuming over the lack of access for them to ask questions of the president. The White House press secretary does what she always does. She claimed the president has taken more questions than the previous 3 presidents combined.
Minutes spoken or
questions? I just said questions.
So that's what I'm asking is what the metric is.
No, that's what I said. Number of questions, just number of questions. Let me finish and then we can continue. So it's more than President Trump and Obama combined, or President Obama and George W. Bush. And here you go to your question. He has answered over 320 questions.
I can't even imagine what they were doing in the White House. Somebody's job was to clean that up. 4 times she made that same claim. It's not true. It's a lie. The White House quietly changed the official transcript. It hit my inbox. I couldn't believe it. It was supposed to say not questions, but question and answer sessions. I've been a journalist for more than a quarter century. You got news conferences, gaggles, sit-downs, exclusives. I don't know about those question and answer sessions. When it comes to actual news conferences, President Biden far is behind Clinton, G.W. Bush, Obama, and Trump at the same time in their terms. Look at those numbers. He's dwarfed by those other men. Power panel now. Charlie Hurt, Washington Times opinion editor, and Richard Fowler, both Fox News contributors. Great to see you. Charlie, what is this?
Great to see you. Oh, man. You know, it seems like every day the guy finds new ways to embarrass us. The thing with Karine Jean-Pierre that's so interesting is this was something she actually studied for. Somebody had helped her prepare for this question, and she came out and completely got it catastrophically wrong, so wrong that even the White House had to correct it. And you know, if this White House goes back to correct something, it had to be really wrong, because they get all kinds of things wrong all the time, and they never correct it. You know, as far as his performance overseas, it really is getting to the point. I didn't think we could be more embarrassed than we were 6 months ago or a year ago. The guy keeps finding new ways to embarrass us. And what's amazing about it is Joe Biden is the world's greatest foreign policy expert Washington has ever produced. And yet he is an absolute disaster every time he goes overseas. And the world is watching, and the world is I would argue that all of the things that we see going on in the world today are a reaction of very bad people, enemies, and even allies looking at this scene right here and you know, making determinations based off of this guy.
You know, I worry about something else, Richard. That people see us as not having a lot of options in America. We have a lot of wonderful people on both sides of the aisle. There are a lot of people who could do his job better than he could do it. Heck, both of you could. He is where he is in life.
That's a low bar right there.
And stop.
And
he's blessed to be where he is in life in his years. But some of this is really more than embarrassing. Richard.
Look, I think we've known from the beginning of time that Joe Biden makes gaffes. That's nothing new here, but I think it's worth pointing out that we could focus on the president's gaffes, or we could focus on his foreign policy successes. Let's be very clear. We haven't seen NATO expand in decades until Joe Biden became president.
All right.
Since he's
Let
become
me just
president,
step in
we've
for
seen
1 second.
NATO
I'll let you take it
membership
back.
expand.
Hold on
to
one
3
second.
new members. That's
so
a big deal.
NATO expanding has happened primarily because Putin went in and invaded a neighbor.
Right,
Something
exactly.
that nobody had done.
So we're saying that Joe Biden had nothing to do with NATO expanding and keeping NATO together.
Yeah,
let's be very clear.
Read about it.
No,
There's a lot of good stuff about
let's
it.
actually
and
read about it.
A lot of great
when
information
Trump was,
about how people want to jump into NATO now, like Finland and others, because they want the protection.
But wait a minute, Harris. To be fair, if you read about it and you read the reporting on it, what you would find is that during the Trump administration, NATO almost fell apart. And then when Joe Biden came in, Joe Biden brought NATO back to the table, and now NATO was expanding.
Yeah, because somebody invaded a neighbor next to Poland.
Yeah, but there was also diplomacy that happened during that period where allies talked to allies, and allies talked to allies that weren't members of NATO and said, you should join. The water's warm.
Charlie,
that was President Biden.
Word?
Well, you know, if you talk to the members of NATO, they'll be the first to tell you that because of Donald Trump, NATO was stronger when he got finished with
Finland
it.
didn't join NATO
The only reason
Joe Biden, when Donald Trump was
NATO
president,
is in the situation it's in today is because under Joe Biden, kind of like when Joe Biden was vice president, Russia has decided to go outside of its borders and expand and invade another country. And all of that can be laid at the feet of Joe Biden.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.